Hello, welcome to a Curve tutorial video. In this video, we're going to be covering comparisons with equivalent time periods for metric charts. Comparisons are also supported in table charts. In this video, we're going to be covering the metric charts, which would be indicator, dial, and gauge charts. So I'm going to start by selecting the data set that I want to build the metric chart for. I'm going to go to the Analyze tab. And I'm going to start by creating an indicator type chart. All right, I'm going to choose a metric in product inventory quantity. Okay, and I'm going to try to compare what is the average inventory quantity year to date this year versus year to date last year. So I'm going to change my aggregate from sum to average. Okay. Now, this is the average product inventory quantity across all time periods, whatever the time span is for this data set. And you might first go down to filters and say, well, okay, I'm going to create a filter on modified date, and I'm going to limit it to this year. And you could do that, but you would run into an issue where you can't filter by this year and filter by a previous year at the same time, because the indicator chart only displays one metric. And that's true of dial and gauge charts as well. So we have a special feature for metric type charts called the comparison. And this is what you should use. And it accepts a single date column. So I'm going to use the modified date for my product inventory. And then I'm going to choose the time period. Okay, I'm going to choose the named period this year, right? So that would be January 1st through today. And for the comparison, I might be tempted to use last year, but if I did that, I would be comparing this year to date with all of last year, and that's not an equivalent comparison. So for the comparison period, I'm going to use a custom range. And I'm going to specify 2 dates. Okay, now, rather than hard coding the dates, which is not what we want to do, we want the chart to dynamically determine what the last year's starting date and the last year's equivalent end date is relative to today, right? Because the end user is going to be looking at this chart day over day, week over week, and the value should be dynamic and change depending on what the current day is. So for that, I'm going to use a token. And to invoke the tokens, you just need to type 2 open curly braces. And then the system tokens will be displayed. And nearly all of them have to do with date generation. So I'm going to choose last year start. That will get me January 1st of last year. And then I'm going to choose today minus 365. Okay. And then I can decide whether I want to visualize the delta as a percentage or as an actual value. Okay. I'm going to choose percentage. And then from here, I can choose the formatting for the fonts. I can change the symbol. Sometimes more is better. Sometimes more is not better. So you can change the symbol direction. You can also change the color as well if green, red, and blue for equivalency are not the colors that you want to use. Before I save the chart, notice that the tokens are in place, but they're not resolved yet. Those will be resolved when I save the chart and the chart is rendered. So to wrap up, I'm just going to give this metric chart a title. Average quantity year over year. So I'm going to go ahead and save the metric chart. Now you can see that my average product inventory was 193% higher this year than the equivalent time period last year. So that's how you can do equivalent time period comparisons in Curve on metric charts Thanks for watching.